Let me begin with the confession. I am a big Spider-Man fan, and unlike a lot of recent people, I've been a fan for a long time. So my main thing was late 80s Spider-Man and early 90s. So I mostly have issues of that in the various formats. Web of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. But I got books usually even if he just guest starred or did a crossover. So I know Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. But after they ruined him with the Clone Saga in the 1990s, I stopped really reading him regularly. I go back for the occasional trade paperback, but I'm mostly cool to him. But I did see Spider Man 2 in theaters, and I still consider it one of the best experiences of all time. I wouldn't say, honestly, Dune in theaters matched that. Again, Dune is a very different kind of film, and I do think Denis, at certain places, made critical mistakes. I'd say rating wise, actually, Dune is the better film, but I'd have to be honest, and Spider Man 2 really impacted me, even with its own flaws, and it does have flaws. I know a lot of people have gotten defensive over it. Yeah, when I was seeing it, I was like, woof, some pretty tricky things going on here. But overall, spectacular. I wish they're going to bring it back in theaters. You have to see it in theaters. It was really amazing. And to see it when the superhero genre was just gaining acceptance was really interesting. So that's my background with Spider Man. And now we turn to IGN. I can imagine some people at IGN are lifelong Spider Man people, but really their reasoning for why No Way Home is amazing, despite its flaws, that Dune gets a lower grade, still shocks me.
Thrill in watching a story of this scope, which takes from and adds so much to the MCU, I'm not going to tell you that Spider Man No Way Home is without its flaws. When folks talk about superhero fatigue, they're often not talking about audiences becoming tired of people in capes. What they typically mean is an overall boredom with tropes that have been long standing staples in the genre. The MCU has been forced to reckon with those tropes over the years to varying degrees of success, but there are some moments in this one that fall into one of the most frustrating hero tropes of them all: the lone hero. This complaint and the specific fallout from certain choices made by our friendly neighborhood Spider Man will undoubtedly see resolution in later films. But, for now, they're annoying. Still,
I think it's well known for those completely new that IGN has a severe MCU bias. And it is an MCU bias. It's not even superheroes or action films. They're consistently harsh on the DCEU, on Zack Snyder. But to be fair, they did give the Snyder Cut a good grade. They gave it a better grade than the Joss Whedon cut. They did have severe criticisms. I rate the Snyder Cut as one of the best films of all time. That's fine, we can differ, but they gave it a respectable grade and had doubts. That's fine. But overall, it's pretty astonishing just how many MCU films get sevens, eights, nines. It's shocking. It's like they just seem to be so biased towards Marvel, and we can't ignore the obvious. So you add it all up. I get it. And Spider Man is that kind of film that you're going to make more money just being positive about the film. If you're being genuinely critical, people don't want to hear it. This thing is very popular. I don't even think it's a bad film. I do think it's pretty rock solid, but it has a lot of problems, a lot of mistakes. Even the identical mistakes that they picked up with Dune, from what I could tell from their Dune review, they thought it was boring, it had pacing issues, Denis dropped the ball, it was too close to the books. And here they're saying with Spider Man, they finally got the essence of Spider Man. This really feels like a great comic book film. It feels like a great video game where it just keeps going. It's so energetic. It never lets up. Even with all its flaws and plans, even with all its flaws and problems. This you gotta see it, guys. And it's like I wish I was even doing a parody. That's literally what they're saying. And you're like, well, what was the problem with Dune? It was boring. It wasn't fun all the time. Toby didn't show up. Like, what exactly is the criteria? Like, listen, I think No Way Home is a legit good film. I cannot see it or will not tell people to see it because of Sony's questionable activities. That's my stance. And I've already put my money in for Spider Man. I paid for more than enough issues. I paid for Spider Man 2, so I've given blood already. They've already gotten my money. I'm not going to give them more money. I will still recommend Spider Man stories in what format if they have high quality, but No Way Home I would recommend, but I would still say please don't see it because it will give money to Amy Pascal. That's me. But really, at least I have some consistency, whereas IGN just keeps rubber stamping big grades to the MCU. And it makes you think, well, what if Spider-Man was not officially a part of the MCU? Would they give it a lower grade? I wonder. And again, it's fine if they have issues with Dune. It's just the low score there relatively speaking, a 7 out of 10. And you look it up yourself, like, Ant-Man, Endgame, like much weaker films, really even insignificant films, they just give really high grades. You're like, what is going on? Is it? And again, yes, IGN is a joke. Everyone knows they're a joke. So I am just picking on weak opponents here. Yeah, obviously they're a big running meme at this point. Still, it does bother me because it seems that what makes No Way Home good to them is this is not how they put it, but this is basically the implication. It's dumbed down. It's just fun. It's enjoyable. It's popcorn. You don't have to think too much. You get emotionally invested. That's what a film should be. Superheroes should be smiling a lot. They should be crying a lot. They should be bouncing all over the place and saying a lot of jokes. Listen, I'm not completely heartless. I got emotional when Toby showed up. When he talks about Kirsten Dunst and his MJ. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I teared up. So you can be very harsh and analytic and still be emotive when a film succeeds. But saying Spider-Man, not just by a point, by over 1 point, is the better film over Dune this year, the year of the Snyder Cut, the year of Paul Thomas Anderson. You gotta like look at yourself in the mirror sometime. I'm just like, okay, I get it. You gotta make money. You gotta please Kevin Feige. We all know they do dirty deals. We're not stupid. But really, I mean, you don't like Dune, that's fine. You have criticism of Dune, that's fine. But just try to maintain some consistency. It's really embarrassing. Listen, Spider-Man's gonna make a lot of money. Everyone's gonna go see it. Everyone's gonna love it. That's fine. But the role of the critic is to try to provide some dissenting view sometime. I don't expect IGN will ever be an honest critic, but they could at least stop being so blatantly biased. Because really, Dune is the kind of movie we should support. Spider-Man's going to get all the support it needs. It doesn't need more support. And you don't even like Dune, that's fine, but we should have a place for it. But just automatically judging it as inferior because it's not fun enough. It was too boring. Those are just really silence. That's really just silly, childish criteria. And I hope IGN is going to get better. I'm going to keep watchdogging them, but really, you can enjoy No Way Out, praise it, contextually where it's strong, and also do the same for Dune. That's what I'm doing. I don't understand. It just seems like they themselves are creating this problem. Like you don't need to be loving one to oppose the other, but it just seems like in their world, well, Dune, it just ain't a Spider-Man film. That's what I want to see. I want to see a fun, bouncy thingamajig. And if it's not that, well, it's not great cinema to me. Huh? Really? Is it really that shallow? Is that what you're going to need to get a high grade for IGN? I hope this is just one of their final big biased reviews and they're going to become more consistent, but we shall have to wait and see.